Merrill Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.
.5 Triple M, it is Jody Matho for breakfast. Jody, we're joined by the Mayor himself, Matthew Dickerson. How are you, Matt?
Well, good, but I'm a bit worried, Matho and Jody. Where do you two park your cars when you go in and do your segment each morning?
Oh,
in an underground car park.
We have private
in
parking.
the back cave.
Right, so you're okay then, because for the rest of Dubbo, there's a bit of an issue about car parking.
Yeah, you've got the sensors happening, the license plate recognition. Tell us what's the latest?
Well, it's interesting because we've had parking officers for as many years as I can remember. They go along and put the bit of chalk on the tyre and they keep walking the streets and they come back around. If it's an hour parking, they might come back around an hour and 5 or an hour and 10 later. And then if that car with that chalk is still there, that's it, they book the car, which seems like a pretty old-fashioned method. So we've been trialling two different methods to make it a bit more efficient. One, we got some money from the government to put 150 sensors in the actual parking spot. So literally drilling the ground, put a sensor in the ground, and when a car parks over that, it knows it's a car parked, and then it triggers the timer on there. And then when the car moves off and a new one comes in, it re-triggers a timer. If it's been there longer than the allowed parking in that spot, then our parking officers get an alert on a device they carry and they can go around and say, we know this car's been here longer than the time frame. Let's check out to make sure it's not broken down or a flat tyre or a disabled sticker. No, it's just been parked too long. We'll issue a fine. So we ran that trial from August 2022 till February this year. 1,852 infringements were handed out using that particular method. The other one we trialled, and I actually got to have a ride in one of the vehicles for this one. It was pretty interesting. You drive along the street slowly, maybe 20, 30 k's an hour, and it takes photos and has a GPS stamp at each photo with a timestamp of number plates. And then as you drive the car around through the CBD, when you get back to a same spot more than the allowed time frame for that, it knows the spot you're in, it knows the number plate, knows the time. Oh, this car's been here longer than it should have been. Now, we only ran that trial for a short period of time. We didn't hand out any fines because we were just doing a trial, but during the trial period, 157,191 vehicles were scanned, and if we had been issuing fines, we would have handed out 2,413 fines. So that's probably a pretty efficient method. At this stage, Council is just giving a report back to the community to say, we've been looking at these trials. The bottom line is, if you look at the sign where you park and you adhere to that, whatever method we use to fine people, if you adhere to that sign, you're not going to get a fine.
That's some pretty good advice.
Something a little bit that could be upsetting to the community of Dubbo is the future of the Dream Fest. Tell us what's happening there.
Well, this is an interesting one. I do enjoy the Dream Festival. Way back in 2011 it started. I've been involved. I've actually volunteered with the Dream Festival at various times, been involved from a council perspective. But what happened when the Dream Festival volunteers were running that for a number of years, it got to the stage where they believed it was too big for them to run it. So they asked Council to take it over and run it. Now, Council did do that, and they've done that for a year. It was a bit delayed because there was a couple of years missed with COVID. But essentially, Council's run that for a year, and where our council staff are now saying, well, we're not really set up to run an event. It's a big event, and our staff are limited in terms of helping event attraction and helping events do the best they possibly can, but not run those events. So we put a report to Council to say we need to decide the future. As councillors, do we want our council staff to keep running it? Do we want to keep giving it $40,000, which is how much we've given it each year to run the event? Or do we want to reduce the funding? Do we want to increase the funding? How do we want to run it? So from the committee meetings last week, the recommendation, which will go to Council on the 21st of March, is for us to advertise an EOI process for a community group, community organisation, whatever it might be, to actually run that event and then make an application with justification for that $40,000. So hopefully on the back of that, we'll keep running it, but we would like a volunteer group or a community organisation to run that rather than Council actually run the event.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But some other events that are running very well in Dubbo, we've had the Touch recently, but right now the Bowls and the Women's New South Wales Women's Open are on at the same time. It must be pretty cool for council to look around and see all this activity coming in from different places around the country.
Yeah, you're right. And look, you said the touch footy on the back of that, then Bowls New South Wales. Now, Bowls New South Wales, for the first time in the history of the state championships, they're holding that in a non-metro location. And when they looked around where to hold that, Dubbo was the place they chose. So that started on the 12th of March. It'll run through to the 27th of March. So it's a big event, 880 competitors here, not here for the whole time. So that there's different events that flow through those 2 weeks. So that's pretty exciting. We've got that contract for 2024 and 2026 and 2028. So that, you're right, that's exciting. And that's where our events team is probably better off spending their energy and time attracting events like this. Golf New South Wales regional qualifiers, that's just finished. That ran over Sunday a Pro-Am, then Monday, Tuesday. And from that, the qualifiers can go through that, or the leading players from that qualify for the New South Wales Open. So you just get this range of events that keep coming, different sports, whether it be cricket or rugby league or rugby union or touch footy or bowls. There's a whole range of different events we keep seeing here, and they just keep bringing in people to our community.
No, it's a fantastic job. Whoever's getting these people to come to town is doing a wonderful job. Keep it coming. That's all I can say.
Hats off.
Yeah, hats off. Lots of different headgear off. Anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor of Dubbo, Matthew Dickinson. Thanks for joining us today, mate, and we'll catch up in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Matthew.
Merrill Memo with Matthew Dickinson from Dubbo Regional Council.